think they have the pink card. Did they print out the,
I just opened the cell phone and sent it.
No.
Check it. Send it to Brenda, Gary.
You have to.
Okay.
Oh.
So it's like great.
All right, Ms. Sterling. It is now 7 p.m.
It's 7 p.m. and this meeting has been called to order. Councilman Nathaniel Anderson,
Present.
Councilwoman Rebecca Perone,
Present.
Councilwoman Dr. Tiffany Worthy,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Samantha Whitfield,
Present.
Mayor Kaya T. McIntosh.
Present.
Okay, we are going to now have our opening prayer by Reverend Lewis Cook, Associate Minister from Alpha Baptist Church.
Let us pray. Once again, dear Father, we come before your divine presence. Just thank you for the many things that you've done for us, Father, and just the opportunity to come before your divine presence. Father, you hear our prayers and you graciously hear them. And as we come before you this evening, Father, we pray that you would just bless us in all the ways that we stand in need of, oh God. And Father, that you will not find any fault for whatever is going to happen this evening, Father, and that you would just bless them. We do thank you for the commitment of each council member, Lord, and that you would just continue to be with them, undergird them with strength, and Father, with peaceful hearts this evening, oh God. And Father, that all will go well as long as you're with them and as long as they think in kindness and love toward one another. Oh God, bless them. We thank you for each of the commitments that they've made thus far and the way that they serve this community, oh God. Who else can do it? And it's a hard work. It's not an easy job for any of them. And we do realize that. So be with them in all that they're doing. We pray that the agenda that is set before them this evening will work peacefully. And that will be just go through it peacefully and in wellness, oh God. So Father, for all of them citizens of Willingboro, we ask that you just bless them as well. We thank you for all of the partners in the community, Lord, and as well as the school system. Just be with them as only you can. And bless this council meeting this evening and just be with them, undergird them with thoughts and kindness and wonderful and peaceful spirits, and that all will go well. We thank you for this township of Willingboro and just pray that you would just bless it and all of the citizens of this community. Surround it with safety. We do thank you as we pray in his name. Amen.
Amen. We are now going to have our flag salute.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is to announce that adequate notice of the meeting was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal complex and was mailed to the Burlington County Times, the Intelligencer, and the Courier Times. On advance written of this meeting was filed with the township clerk. The clerk is directed to enter into the minutes of the meeting this public announcement.
Thank you, Ms. Starling. There's no proclamations today.
No.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. Glad to see you today. We will get started with our manager's report by Mr. Laurie, our deputy manager, Mr. Laurie.
Good evening, everyone. This past weekend, we hosted our third annual Juneteenth Festival. The event was well attended by the public. And we want to give a special shout out to our staff who put on an awesome event. We also want to thank our sponsors, Cooper Health University, Cooper University Health, Pannoni, and everybody else that just showed up. On June 8th, recruit Tanner Kerman graduated from the Camden County Police Academy. He'll start our 14-week field training officer program. The FTO program is an additional training where officers are provided with hands-on experience and practical training and guidance under the supervision of FTOs. Officer Tanner is with us tonight, and he will receive his official oath of office, excuse me. You can come up, Officer Tanner.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. You repeat after me. I, Tanner Kerman,
I, Tanner Kerman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the
of the
Constitution
United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the government
and to the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
county, and township,
county, and township,
under the authority of the people,
and under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of
all the duties of the office of
police officer
police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Officer Kerman, and welcome to Willingboro.
Yeah, welcome.
Our Detective Bureau was recognized during the Burlington County Prosecutor's Office Pro Cops Award Banquet on June 14th and presented the Prosecutor's Unit Excellence Award, excuse me. The New Jersey Narcotics Enforcement Officers Association selected Willingboro Police Department to receive the Unit Award and Individual Award for our work within the township, county, and state. We were recognized on June 15th at Caesars in Atlantic City. Officer Thomas was recognized on June 29th, will be recognized on June 29th by the Beloved Project at their Community Hero Award Night. The event starts at 6 p.m. and tickets can be purchased through the Beloved Project. We're still accepting applications for the Youth Police Academy, and applications can be found on the police department's website. The deadline for those applications is June 30th. Additionally, the police department is giving out free club-style steering wheel locks to any residents or persons that work in Willingboro who owns a Kia or Hyundai. We're going to move on to recreations. Country Club Pool opened this past weekend. Currently, the pool is open with limited hours for the remainder of this month and will be available for public use on Saturdays and Sundays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Beginning on July 1st and running through August 13th, Country Club Pool will have general swim from Monday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sundays from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. The pool will be closed between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 7 p.m. on Sundays, and will reopen again for family swim on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Adult swim will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. And that's again for Country Club Pool. Pennypacker Pool will open on July 1st. Those hours are for general swim Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., Sunday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. The pool will be closed between 5 p.m., 6 p.m., Monday through Saturday, 7 p.m. on Sundays, and will open again for family swim on Fridays and Saturdays between 6 to 8. On July 8th, Recreations will host a Hip Hop Turns 50 event on July 8th at from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. Come out dressed in your hip hop gear. The tickets are $25, and those tickets can be purchased on Eventbrite. You can bring your own food and drinks. Guest artists will be Brand Nubian and Mr. Cheeks. Any additional information that you will need, folks are encouraged to contact Recreations at extension 1112 or extension 1115. The 40th anniversary of the National Night Out will be hosted on July 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Mill Creek Park and Area D. And other news, the estimated tax bills, the school district's tax levy, and if necessary, mistakes can come up and speak more to the tax bills that were sent out recently regarding the school district's increase. Those estimated tax levies increased to $39,285,308. This is an increase of $5.3 million over the previous year, which results in a tax rate increase of about 26 cents. This tax rate results in an increase of property taxes of about $400 for the average assessed household, $158,000, 350, excuse me, $158,350. Again, although the township's levy increased approximately $380,000, the tax rate of 1.816 did not change as a result of the increased value and assessed valuations. That is all I have, Mayor, unless you have questions for Ms. Diggs further.
Did you have anything else to add, Ms. Diggs? Nothing, okay. So I know has been some conversations about the increase in taxes. That was because the school district did increase their budget. And I'm going to say, I told them I was going to say it, but we kept ours flat. We worked really hard to make sure our portion was flat. However, I think they're investing in some sports and tracks and things like of that nature. But I will have either the superintendent or his administration come next meeting to explain their investment. So, but I just want to be clear, the council kept ours flat. So, thank you for speaking on that today. And that's it for your management.
Yes, that's all for my report.
Does anyone have any questions about the manager's update? All right, we'll move on to the ordinances and resolutions.
Sure. So we have 3 ordinances up. Ordinance 23-11 is the public hearing and final reading of the bond ordinance for the 2023 capital plan. This bond ordinance appropriates $3 million to the various capital improvements. 5% of the $3 million was appropriated in the operating budget, which is why the ordinance reflects $2,850,000. Ordinance 23-12 is the first reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 90 and 370 of the Township Code. This ordinance would change the requirements relating to consumption licenses in the B1 zone, reducing the seating requirements to 50 and the total square footage to 3,000. Ordinance 23-15 amends Ordinance 23-10 as there was a misprint in the original, and we need to correct that number to accurately reflect the total number in the bond ordinance. It doesn't increase the bond ordinance, it's just correcting the numbers that was misprinted in the original ordinance. Resolution 23
Sorry, Mr. Long.
yes,
You just said ordinance 2023-15?
13.
13,
Yes.
okay.
Did I say 15?
I thought you did.
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted to make
I'm sorry.
sure.
That was 23-13.
Okay.
Resolution 23-134 amends the adopted budget. We received the distracted driver grant, and those funds need to be included in the budget before they are used. A similar case with 135, excuse me, amends the adopted budget. We received a $15,000 grant from the state to address spotted lantern flies in town, and those funds need to be added into the budget before we can use those as well. Resolution 23-136 is a resolution providing appointments to the various boards and commissions. Resolution 23-137 increases the not to exceed amount for Pannoni for the provision of engineering services to the township. The firm performed work for us last year and the bill was left unpaid, so we must increase that to make sure that we pay that bill. That bill was relating to the study that was completed with regards to potentially moving the library to the JFK Center. Resolution 23-138 is approving vouchers for payment and ratification. And finally, resolution 23-139 is authorizing street naming for Jackie Jennings.
Okay. We'll open it up for public comment for agenda items only. You have 2 minutes. Agenda items only. Is there any public comment?
Good evening, Pat Lindsay, Harvey Headley Lane. My question has to do with the spraying for the spotted pesky flies. How, I don't want to say the word lethal, but how potent is that is that chemical? Is it going to be sprayed for on the entire township, or is it just specific areas? That's just a question I have about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay Harvey. Host, is there anyone online that has a question or has a public comment for agenda items only?
None at this moment, Mayor.
All right, public comment for agenda items only is now closed. Ms. Starling? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize, Ms. Patton, I'm sorry. Do we have any background information on what's going to be sprayed?
Mr. Tunstall, I believe we're just gonna be looking at the trees that are affected. There's many trees that are around that have like their nest on them. But in terms of what we're doing with the money, we're gonna be contracting out because we don't have the professionals in-house to take care of that. But in terms of, it would be like a normal pesticide, but targeted towards the lantern flies.
Mr. Tunstall, you can sit to the mic so they can hear you online. Oh, okay.
Turn it on.
Okay. We have sought 2 vendors to be our source for the control for lantern flies. The application of the product will be specific to the location of the lantern flies on trees or whatever area they were infesting. This is not going to be a township-wide extermination. It is specific to a target area. Actually, what is going to happen basically is once we're have identified a location in which we found a population of lantern flies, then we'll address it case by case. We don't have a specific target right now,
Fine. Okay.
but this money gives us the opportunity to seek exterminators, so we have them on call,
Okay.
just in case we have the problem like we had last year.
Thank you very much. We can begin with the ordinances.
This is public hearing for ordinance 2023-11. Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of Willingboro in the County of Burlington, New Jersey, appropriating $3 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,850,000 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. Public hearing is now open.
And this is the public hearing final reading.
Yes, public hearing, final reading. Seeing none?
No.
Public hearing is now closed. This is the final reading of ordinance 2023-11. Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of Willingboro in the County of Burlington, New Jersey, appropriating $3 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,850,000 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rebecca Perron,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Tiffany Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Samantha Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
This is the first reading for ordinance 2023-12, an ordinance to amend chapter 90 and chapter 370 of the Township Code of the Township of Willingboro relating to alcoholic beverages. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Oh. Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Discussion, please. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
This is the first reading for ordinance 2023-13, an ordinance amending ordinance 2023-10 to increase the soft cost of the project from $160,666 to $750,000. I need a motion?
It's the ordinance for 2023-13.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you, okay.
Because they're saying 10 right here.
Oh, okay.
So move.
Oh, go ahead.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. Is there a motion for consent agenda?
So
On Any
moved.
of these numbers? I'm asking for a motion. If anybody-
The last agenda item 139 was just added today. So, and I'm not sure why it was added there because according to our minutes, it was
Would a motion-
rescinded.
Does anybody
Right,
put the
so-
motion for a consent agenda? We can take that one out.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Roll call. Oh, Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. All right, you can bring up resolution 2023-139.
Okay. Resolution 2023-39,
139.
139, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Discussion, please.
Yes. So we do have, and thank you, the clerk's office for adding our minutes from our last meeting to the agenda. That was helpful. And I'm looking here at the minutes and it was under new business where Councilman Anderson states that he wants to make a motion to allow Jacqueline Jennings to have a street renamed after her. Jennings is a former mayor and former council member. The motion was approved by Councilman Anderson and a second by Dr. Tiffany Worthy. Motion second was rescinded. The minutes end there. As our recollection, Mr. Crook, the reason why it was rescinded is because we needed to revisit the amended ordinance that already existed. The ordinance that existed is ordinance 38-29, process for creating a street designation. This ordinance was adopted April 24th, 2020. This ordinance was created around the time when Mayor Eddie Campbell had passed away. The ordinance read as follows. A, the following individuals will be considered by the mayor and council for an honorary street designation. There are 4 categories. 1, the individual was a resident of the township of Willingboro. And 2, the individual served the township of Willingboro by serving as a member of the mayor and council for 16 or more years. And number 3, the individual is deceased. And number 4, the individual's personal qualities, accomplishments, and lifetime of service to the township of Willingboro demonstrates and reflect the standards and value of the township of Willingboro. That is category A. Category B, such an individual who meets the qualifications of subsection A above, as I just read, nominated by the current member of the council for an honorary street designation. The approval of the designation shall be adopted by resolution. The resolution shall state the basis for the provision and honorary street designation for that individual. Then there is C category.
Approval of honorary street designation by mayor and council shall entitle the individual of the following. A dedicated sign shall be added to a street of Willingboro named by the individual being honored. And then there's A and B, and it speaks more to size and dimensions. Now, as we all remember, I had suggested naming a street after a person who lived in Willingboro who was a former athlete. We then revisited this resolution because it did not constitute anyone who was alive. I've also revisited our meetings and our discussions had in pertaining to this very discussion. What we all agreed on is that we would add information that speaks to a person who is alive. That information that was added, as we all remember, was the resolution that Mr. Crook created. Mr. Crook created a resolution that, I think I printed it out here. Mr. Crook created a resolution that speaks to what we added. However, he removed category A, whereby if a person is deceased, all of that was removed. All of our experience of being on council, when we're making amendments to any resolution, we've added information in red and crossed out anything to be removed. On all of our meetings that we've had relating to this resolution, there was never a cross out speaking to removing if the person is deceased. I did speak to Mr. Crook today and asked if he could review his emails as I did, reviewing all of the drafts that were created. All of the drafts, I had no issue with adding that information if a person is alive and has honorary accomplishments that we recognize and want to name a street after them. My issue with this currently is that the honor that was already created for Mayor Campbell, when we created this and stated all of what I read in category A, whereas honorable and this person has been deceased, has been removed. I feel that that is a dishonor to our township. Number two, we also added to the amended part is that we would leave it to the people of Willingboro to vote on a person who is currently living if they shall choose to name the street after the current living person. Therefore, in closing, I'm not exactly sure why we have here on the agenda to name a street as a resolution whereby the last council meeting, as I read the minutes, it was never voted on to add it to this agenda. Number two, Jacqueline Jennings is still alive. Number three, it must go before the people to vote on. Have you decided amongst yourselves that we are more important than the voices of the 33,000 residents? Because we all went over back and forth of the percentage of votes that we thought would be fair to allow the people to decide. What I'm asking all of the council sitting here today, although it is an honorable thing to have a street named after you, do not take the voice from the people. Do not take your power of your seats and make it solely of your choice and decide to take off what was already created from people who have served in this community and have passed away, to remove that just to name a street after somebody who you find to be as a friend. It's out of control, and that's why I have a problem with this ordinance today.
Any other discussion?
I was trying not to say nothing, but I will respond for the people. We amended this ordinance at your request, Councilwoman Perone. Prior to your request, the ordinance read, you must be deceased as a council member. Once we opened it back up, the amended ordinance 2023-9 removed that, and we added additional sections to honor those who did not sit on council. So as the amended ordinance reads, you no longer need to be deceased as a councilwoman or a councilman. Number two, when you're reading this, it gives you three options to be honored. 2A indicates a council member who has served 16 years. 2B speaks of a different category of individuals and what those requirements are. Section C speaks about military. Okay, those sections would require the petition and the votes. Being a council member, former council member, does not require that. Okay? And as of the last meeting, I brought it to the table. And because we didn't have the ordinance in front of us, so that everyone could actually see it, we put it off to this meeting. So during the course of the week, I did ask the mayor if she can add this to the agenda as a resolution. The only difference is if it would have stayed under new business, we could have still voted it under new business and then provided the resolution at a later date. So because we were going to discuss it, I asked her permission if we can add this, and this was added as of last Thursday. So it was a part of the agenda. What wasn't on the agenda is the body of it, which was provided to us this afternoon via email. So based on the amended ordinance of which you voted for, states you no longer have to be deceased.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Crook, as I stated earlier, once we amend an ordinance or resolution, when we're adding information, do we label it in red?
I don't know whether council
Yes.
wants me to address this.
Yeah,
or
go ahead,
not,
go ahead
but-
and address the.
This is
I mean,
what we're
I
talking
really
about.
to answer that, I need to take a step back.
Okay.
When this was first brought up and first discussed, it was clear to me and clear from the earliest versions of drafts that I was given direction by the majority of council to remove the references to deceased. That was in those early drafts.
That's what I'm asking.
As the draft continued and things were accepted, they were converted to regular black and white. And then whatever was being added additionally was red. So I can understand what you're saying and I understand, but I think what the difference is that the deceased was removed early on in the drafts. It was accepted, and then there were subsequent changes, which the last version that was submitted included those new changes in red, but it didn't go back to the old changes that were incorporated as part of the drafts that were developed. So I understand your confusion, but
Well,
that's not, I mean, at the end of the day, I can say unequivocally that I believe the direction of this council was that the ordinance was not to include or require the council person
That's-
to be deceased.
and that's what I was asking, sir. Did you find any information from any of our minutes that says to remove remove because I did not, and I went through all of our meetings, well, not the meetings, the minutes, as well as our drafts. Nowhere did the council vote to remove that you were deceased. We all discussed adding the information. So that's what our emails back and forth with the drafts were pertaining to the addition. I had no problem with the addition. What I'm speaking of, did you find anything whereby you crossed out what was already a current existing resolution and brought it before council with it crossed out, that we're removing this? This way, it's clearly apparent that this is stricken from the original resolution. That's what I asked you. Did you find anything?
I
where it
didn't
was-
find, I didn't have a chance to review the minutes. As I told you, I was going to be taken up in
Mhm.
meetings all afternoon.
it
But I
was
can
not-
tell you that I believe, and in going back to various drafts, from the initial draft, remove the word deceased. And that continued on with copies to every council person until we finalized the last version, where nobody raised any issue about deceased not being included.
Well,
Right,
and I
I'm
get that.
sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead. Mhm.
But because we did, I believe we did discuss that, and I would have to just go back to,
Was there any of the minutes?
please.
I asked
you
Madam
might-
Clerk for the minutes today. And I reviewed all of the meetings that we discussed this. It was never in there. Again, obviously. you
Let me-
guys
let me
want
finish
to
real
go
quick.
for it. I'm just, for the
Okay.
record, it was not
That's
a part of
fine.
the minutes.
Just,
And,
Wait, okay.
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, and this was circulated, these renditions were circulated to all council members. And I don't know if what the procedure is, if they have to be redlined, if
Yes.
Miss Councilwoman.
I
Jerome
would
has
disagree
a-
with that. I mean,
Okay, Councilwoman
in
has a
terms
point.
of
I just wanna
preparing
make sure.
ordinances, there's different ways to do it. If you're taking an ordinance and you're just going to modify certain sections of it, you can, as she's related, indicate by just having strike throughs
We've-
with new
We've
language.
done it every time, except for this one.
Miss Councilwoman.
Well,
Jerome,
where we replaced the
finish.
entire ordinance with the new version, which is essentially what we did, because we reworked the structure. We obviously changed some of the criteria. We added the petition process. I thought that it was best to make it a whole new ordinance that replaced, as I said, in the ordinance itself, section 328-29, the ordinances shall be amended to read, and the entire section was rewritten. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and sometimes you will do it that way if you're changing one or two phrases within an ordinance. But when you're changing the entire body, I thought it was best to just do a whole brand new section to completely replace the old section.
Well,
Which
in
was the intent, and I believe how the ordinance was read.
Well, okay, and there's been a misunderstanding, but obviously, as Mr. Crook stated, he did not review any of the minutes. There was nowhere in writing that states that we are to remove that. What we agreed on was adding that information, and yes, that's what we voted on. That's what we looked at. We made revisions of the adding. No one said to remove, and if any of you find it, let me know. Even our attorney has not found it. So
Well, I
that's,
haven't had
that's
the
for the
chance
record.
to find it, but
Well,
I can
Mayor?
tell you early on, my direction was to remove the word deceased.
That's who gave
which
you the
I did.
direction. Where is it in writing?
It was done, I believe, at a
It was a
meeting
public
or
meeting. It wasn't a council.
Again, and we voted for the people to vote for this.
Mayor.
Now you're telling me you want to take it out of the people's decision, right? And
was
decide it for
never-
yourselves. We want to take it from the people from voting on a person who's alive. That's what you're saying. You're saying to vote on this and not give it to the people to decide if they want to name a street after a sitting council member. That's what you have here on this agenda right now. That it's not to go to the people to vote. It's for the four of you to vote. That's what you're
Five of
saying.
us to vote. You can say no, yes.
The
or no.
vote is no.
Okay,
I'm
that's
just letting
fine.
you know, but I'm just,
Dr. Worthy?
yeah.
Thank
Just
you.
call it
madam.
as it is. Call a spade a spade. Tricks. Then it's gonna be dads, our names after our dads, who's on the MUA, and then our uncles and our sisters and this is ridiculous. Absolutely a disgrace.
Dr. Worthy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to bring up a few points. The first was the revisiting of the ordinance. The premise was we wanted to be able to accommodate the request to be able to name a street after Lamont Smith, that
Mhm.
Councilwoman Perone suggested, who is living.
Right.
So the premise, when we started looking at the ordinance, or revisiting this ordinance back in February or March, was really to be able to honor people who were still living. With that, when we went back and created different categories, the premise continued on of someone still living. In fact, in one of the emails, I think it's March 7th or so, from Mr. Crook, at one point, we had the line in there that was where we added if a council person was recently passed away, they could lay in state. And so that was the only reference to someone being deceased. And again, it was my understanding that the premise of this whole thing was being able to honor people while they were still living. And so I wasn't confused about that. That was clearly stated, and it was the premise of the whole ordinance. So while it may not have been redlined, it may not have been stricken through, it was clearly not there in all the iterations that we received. We also had copies of the ordinance in our packets each time it was time to vote on the ordinance. The change to the ordinance was voted, I believe it was a unanimous vote to approve on the final reading. So again, there was another opportunity. I think I would appreciate, instead of accusations being thrown and
These are facts.
assumptions being
These are the
made,
facts.
that we take
Read the
ownership
minute.
if we have an oversight, if we overlook something, if we miss something, to acknowledge that, hey, that wasn't my intent. I missed it. I was given several opportunities. There are 3 readings before ordinance is passed. It's not something that's done in overnight. It's a process. And so just having the accountability and the integrity to just say, you know what, that was not my intent. I missed it. It was an oversight of mine. It was never my intention to be able to honor the living while they were alive. So that was the point I wanted to make. The second is Councilman Anderson, when he made the notion to be able to name the street after Miss Jennings. I know who Miss Jennings is. We're not friends. I got to know her because she was on council. She's I think a person who deserves to be recognized, but not that I would say I don't want to be friends with her, but I just take great offense to the accusations, the unfounded accusations that you continue to hurl at your colleagues. And then you want to say that we don't play nice. And then you want to call us names and you want to do all these things when you're not playing fair. We all had this in our packets Thursday. We all had ample time to look at it. And if you don't want it, just vote no. But instead of voting no, you want to make accusations where it's just not right. It's wrong. So that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Alright, the facts
you.
are in the
Thank you,
minutes. So
Dr.
as
Ward.
far as wrong, show me the minutes,
I
show me where it says that it was struck and out. Our solicitor does not even have it. So these are the facts. It's not accusations. Okay, we all went over giving it to the people if somebody is alive and allowing the people to decide. And now
That
you're
was never-
deciding
That
today
was never
that you
said.
don't want, revisit the meetings. They're on virtual as
I
well.
know. I
Madam
get it.
Mayor, can we just call the vote?
Yes, we're gonna call the vote anyway. Thank you. Call the, just roll call. Yes.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
No.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. Yeah, you can proceed.
I need a motion to approve minutes for June 7th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes,
There's no municipal clerk's update today
and there's no treasurer.
and no treasury report, correct?
Okay. Okay, moving on to unfinished business. Are there any items for unfinished business? All right, seeing none. Moving on to new business. Does anyone have anything for new business? I did put Providence House discussion on here because we do send money over to them, 25,000. However, in the contract, it reads that there's a amount of $12,060 of in-kind. And I did not feel comfortable signing that contract until we understood what that in-kind was. No one seems to have a record of what it is. So I just wanted to bring it before council if we wanted to strike that out. Again, we do send $25,000 cash to support our Providence House. However, I just want to be clear if there's any history on the 12,060 for in-kind contribution.
Well, I do know from time to time, Public Works used to go over to help out. So I'm not sure if that's what they're considering to be in kind, but I never knew a dollar amount that was associated with it.
Yeah, 12,000 is pretty steep. So I just want to get any consensus on striking that through until we come up with whatever parameters, because I did talk to Mr. Harris. He did say that we're currently not doing anything. We're not cutting the grass or anything, but it's very broad. So I don't want to commit to that amount.
So for purposes of the contract, I would be in favor of striking out the in-kind portion
Okay,
and moving forward. So if we have to revisit, if there's information that comes forth to really detail, maybe it's something we can go
Right,
back
we can
into
just
amend it or
adjust.
whatever.
okay,
But for now, just so that it keeps moving.
okay.
And Madam Mayor, go ahead, Councilman.
I was just gonna ask, did you speak with the person who wrote the contract to ask them what were they referencing by the
Well,
in kind?
Well, I did send that back over to Mr. Harris.
Mhm.
He didn't say, we discussed it. He didn't say what it was for. Again, it was still the historically lawn cutting and stuff like that, but at this current time, there's none of that happening.
So they didn't respond to say what in
Yeah.
kind?
I don't know if he
not
reached
yet.
out.
Okay.
I did ask him what was happening at this point.
Can it be tabled to our next
Yeah, we can-
meeting?
Yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Harris is back at the next meeting.
Mhm.
I would say just table it, not to take it out,
All right.
because we don't know. And I feel like what Councilman Anderson is saying is correct. It's in kind is more like physical
Right.
doing and not. a
But it doesn't,
financial.
in a problem, it doesn't explicitly say, so I would
Right.
accept that, but it doesn't explicitly say. And so, the contract, I'd rather, actually go and forward, I would like the contract to come from us versus it come from them. Because there's no answers. They don't owe, in accordance to the contract, they don't owe us any answers. We do give this money, I think historically, it used to be a grant that was provided to them and we just subsidize it now.
Yes, that's correct.
So we, the township has taken that responsibility and started subsidizing that as of, the last maybe decade. So it is extra money coming out of our pockets, which is okay that we support, our Providence House, but the 12,000, it could be, I know Dr. Worthy was looking into it also when she was mayor. We just want to make sure we're not on the hook for HVAC and
right.
various things that it may not be our responsibility. So,
I'm in favor of tabling it.
Okay.
That's fine.
that's fine. And we'll have more information next meeting.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I know under consent agendas, we did 2023-136 boards and commissions.
Mhm.
But would it be appropriate to actually name the
Yes.
young men
Yes,
who are sitting on which boards?
yes. Thank you. Do you have that in front of you? Ms. Brown? There you go. Let me make your- Oh, okay, thank you. You want to make the motion? You wanna read your piece? Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, just make them.
Mhm.
Okay. I make a motion to appoint Marcus Major and Corey Austin Barnhill to the Youth Advisory Council as students.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I just like to say they are outstanding young men. They come from New York. And that's where their family's from. And they do exceptional work in the community along with their mom. And so it's wonderful to have more students stepping up to be part of the Youth Advisory Council. And we look forward to doing more together.
You can do a roll call. Thank you, Dr. Worthy.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. All right, moving on to public comments. Public comment is now open. You have 4 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment is now open. Behave, Ms. Miller. Hello, okay.
Shelley Miller, 11 Hollis Lane. I have several complaints. And I'd like to know who I could be referred to correct these complaints. There's a house on Hollis Lane. The number is 27. It's a property that is probably a rental. They very seldom cut their grass in the front, but when they do, it seems like it was done with a machete. The backyard has not been cut for I don't know how long. It's almost, the grass is taller than me. And that's one of my complaints. Also, in my section, if you go along the public service path and go across the creek to the other side, there's a little bridge. And it's a nice path, a nice walking path that you can take to the other side of Hawthorne. People have been throwing garbage, boxes of garbage on that strip right over the little path, the bridge path on one side. And they also throw some broken furniture on the other side. Who is responsible for picking this stuff up?
We'll answer it after public comment is closed. We'll answer you. We'll
Pardon?
answer you after public comment is closed.
Oh,
Okay. After everybody else goes, we'll answer.
Okay,
Is that the only thing? Is that the only
those are
concern?
my two complaints
Okay.
right now.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Ms. Miller. Any other public comments? See, we have 2 online.
Yes, Maddie Mallory.
Good evening, Maddie Mallory in Hudson Place. Unfortunately, I missed the last council meeting because of a conflict. But well, before I get into that, just wanted to comment that it's a little better now turning on to Charleston Road off of Hudson Place. However, we still have a speeding situation with people coming around that curve, and we pull out and somebody's right in our tail. So, but it is a little better with some of the shrubs being trimmed down. As I was saying, I missed the last council meeting because of a conflict, but I wanted to know why were the sample ballots so late coming out? I did not get mine until the day of early election. And for those individuals who don't get their mail until after 3 and 4 o'clock, they may have voted already. And of course, we did not have access to these sample ballots so that we could review prior to early voting. I called the office of the clerk, of course, and I have not gotten a call back regarding that. But moving along before I run out of time, the other thing is on Friday, I got my new tax statement. And one of my neighbors said to me, did you get your tax statement? Yes. He said, well, did you open it? I said, no. And he said, well, mine went up $200. So of course, I did get around to opening mine, and mine is $227 and some change. What bothers me about this is that there was no explanation as to why there's such an increase all at one time. I feel that the taxpayers at least should have been given a letter or some explanation. Just open it up and all of a sudden, my gosh, all of these increases in the taxes. So of course I called, and of course I got different responses as to who's responsible. It's a school tax. Well, whatever happened to referendums where the public had some input into this? You're talking about seniors, the majority of the individuals that live in this town on fixed incomes. And for 1 quarter, it's over $200. So is it for the rest of the year? Does it go over into next year? And I feel that we are owed an explanation about that, because $200+ a quarter is a lot of money. So I'm hoping that whoever's responsible will reconsider, send out some kind of information. And I don't want to hear about online, the app or whatever, because the majority of the taxpayers in this town do not use that type of setup. The other thing is, I hope all the notifications that I get on my Ring alert are not true. Because if they are, we have a problem in this town with, crime, be it small crime or large crime. But it's constantly Ring alerts about shootings here, shootings there, and it's alarming. And the last thing is, whatever happened to the COVID money? I'm not sure that we got an explanation as to how that COVID money was spent, even from the school board. And I know schools got a lot of money for COVID, and we got monies for the township for COVID. So, I'd like for someone to address that, because that's an issue that came up before. And those are my concerns tonight. So have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Mallory.
All right, I believe I saw Brown earlier.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity that we're able to have situation online that we can view the council meeting. Also, she brought up the same situation where I brought up with the audience. Resolution 2023-130, increase in property tax for the third quarter. And that's what one of my issues was. Thank you.
Ms. Brown, you said resolution 2023-130?
Yes, but it's not on this audience. It's not on this agenda, though. I think it was last meeting.
Okay, we'll look into that one. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Any other public comment?
William Weston, 44 Bosworth Lane. First, I want to thank you for having a excellent Juneteenth event. Also, the beautification of the medians. But I do want to mention that there's a WMUA meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. If you go to wmua.info, you can get the meeting details there if you would like to log on. And of course, we are all working together for us to have a better Willingboro. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weston.
Good evening, everybody. Ken Brantley, 44 Woodhaven Lane. I just had one question. Good evening, everybody on the Zoom. I just had one question in reference to something that I read online that we had a long time ago, and that's a ethics board. I was wondering, are we going to ever bring back an ethics board here in Willingboro? Because as we look at as high up as the Supreme Court and looking at people who aren't accountable for some of the things that they might be doing that may be ethically incorrect, or as employees, council members, or whoever, we should have some accountability for things that are being done wrong. And I'm not making any allegations, but I don't understand why we don't have our ethics board here, where if there's a problem, we can bring it to the people and have it addressed, whether it's you, me, or anybody else in this room or online. We need to reestablish this ethics board, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brantley.
Good evening. My name is Brian McNair. This is my very first time I've been here. I've been a resident for about good 11 years now. Thank you.
What's your street address, please?
22 Buckingham Drive. Yes, two quick, issues that I wanted to try to address real quick. One was, on the highway right here coming off of Route 130, the exit behind Walgreens. My car right now is damaged, for, coming through there thousands of times. And, I just wondering, who's, is reliable for that? When is that going to get fixed? Is it on someone's list? I'm not sure, but my car is down. The second issue is the noise pollution. I don't know what time is the noise pollution in the morning times for companies. Right now, I'm getting woke up anywhere between 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure if that is with the PSNG and all the work that's being done, down Buckingham Drive and stuff. So I just wanted to, see if I can get any questions, anything answered from that.
Yes, we'll answer after everyone's finished. Thank you so
Thank you.
much,
Thank you.
Mr. McNair.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, public comment is now closed. All right, Mr. Laurie, we'll start with Ms. Miller. The garbage behind, across from the creek, the walking path, there's garbage and furniture. Are you, Mr. Oh, I don't want.
I'm not necessarily aware of what the area that Miss Miller was referring to, but I can talk to her after the meeting, or someone can talk to her after the meeting, to get that exact location. Yeah.
Okay,
Address
Mr.
that with Public
Tunstall.
Works.
Okay, all
Okay,
right,
great.
thank you.
And then the
Ms. Miller, just
27th
let us
Hollis
know
Lane.
if, when if it's done or complete or incomplete. And the grass on Hollis.
Yep, we can send an
Okay.
inspector
Yeah,
out.
and Miss Miller, I've gotten complaints about that too. Miss Miller's not the only one who said that about that one house.
Okay.
On Hollis, so
Yep,
that
we can
is
get
a
somebody sent out
a
there.
big thing, and yeah, it's a couple, I did see it, it's pretty bad.
Okay.
Got it, 27. Thank you, Miss Miller. All right, for Miss Mallory, she just said the shrubs are a lot better, but we're still having some speeding issues. Some speeding around that corner. Captain Books. Miss Mallory, the sample ballots, they are owned and the authority falls under the county, Burlington County. That is not a municipal function. The county is definitely responsible for the sample ballots. I did say that also. Mine came the day of early voting, and they usually do come earlier, but the municipality has no control over when those sample ballots come out. Yeah, and if you have any questions, thank you, Dr. Worthy. Joanne Schwartz is the Burlington County Clerk. You can contact her with any information or for any questions. Also in reference to the tax increase, as we explained and Mr. Larry explained earlier, that did come from the Willingboro Board of Education or the schools. And they do have a series of budget meetings prior to passing the budget, which is, for the open public, whether you have a child in school or not. That's how you get your information for what the potential increase would be. So they did hold a series, I want to say several months ago. So that's where you would find information, and then Dr. Outlaw or the board president, April Maxwell Henley, you can contact them for more information on what that investment is. And then Miss Mallory said something about the ring, that she's seen criminal activity on the ring. I don't know. You have anything for that?
Yeah, good evening. We've had a couple isolated incidents where shootings have been involved throughout town, and there has been an increase in motor vehicle thefts and burglaries through town. We are aware of them. We've implemented some strategic measures on our end to curtail and to deter these types of things. But yeah, I do follow the Ring app. I'm aware of the information that's going out, and it's like anything else. Some of it's accurate and some of it's inaccurate.
Right, okay. And is anything having to do as the weather changes, gets warmer? Is this normally?
It's a normal trend in this time of year, then especially as you get closer to the 4th, we'll get a lot of the fireworks / gunshot calls, because sometimes the residents can't differentiate between the two. So they may be reporting, hey, I hear gunshots in whatever part of town, and they actually may not be gunshots, it may be fireworks. So that could be some of the things, and some of the things that started on those social media apps where it's not 100% accurate.
Right, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Captain. All right, and also, Miss Mallory did have a question about how the COVID money was used.
I don't have the specifics right in front of me, but that money is still being used for capital projects like sewer and infrastructure repairs. I don't have the specifics, but that's what we're using it. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, we'll have the specifics, Miss Mallory, on how that COVID money was spent, but currently a lot of it is being used for infrastructure, but we'll have a more detailed analysis for you next council meeting. Ms. Dawn, can you just write that down to make sure we don't forget for next council meeting? And Mrs. Brown brought up resolution 2023-130. Are you able to talk
That's
to that?
just the estimated, that's simply the resolution where we approve the estimated tax bills. So that would have been just the normal tax bills that are mailed out to advise people what the estimated taxes are. It would have indicated what the town allocated, which wasn't an increase. It also would have indicated the school board, where the increase lied. So that's what that resolution was.
Okay, thank you. And then Mr. Brantley brought up the ethics board. I'm not fully familiar with that, so I will, anybody aware for the ethics board? I did hear something about, so Mr. Brantley did bring the ethics board for the township up.
And the only thing I can tell you, Mayor, is that when the local government ethics law was passed at this point many years ago, there was an option for a township or municipality to either have their own ethics board or to use the state ethics board. I don't know the history because I haven't looked at this. Perhaps at one time the township had its own ethics board. I can tell you most townships, because of the cost and expense of keeping an ethics board and funding it, funding an attorney to it, et cetera, most townships have decided to stick with the state ethics board, but I believe that was the gist of it, that the gentleman would like to take a look at whether or not the township would consider doing their own standalone ethics board again.
And that would be like a separate board or board.
Well, there's in your ordinance, there's an ethics section which lays all the ethics rules, which are essentially, they're verbatim the same as the state ethics rules. But there is a provision in that ordinance that would allow, that has it, the state ethics board is the entity that's going to hear complaints. But as I said, the statute would allow for, an entity to have their own ethics board if they so choose.
Okay. And currently, though, there is a path or a board, and it would be the state board. There is a
Yeah.
board that would hear complaints.
Right. There's
Or any
complaints that-
grievances.
If there's any
against
complaints that
municipal-
originate out of Willingboro about, township employees, township council persons, representatives of the township, the ethics complaint would be now filed with the state ethics board because that's the entity that would hear that.
Okay. All right, so there is an outlet for now, and then I guess we at some point can consider.
You could, if that's what council would like to do, that's always an option.
Okay. And for Mr. McNair, can you have any explanations on what's happening on Buckingham Drive? And if, what time they're starting to work,
It's at 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Yes,
And our ordinance states
7 a.m.
7 a.m. That is the ordinance. It's starting at 6.
Starting earlier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so can we just make sure?
Was he referring to the PSCNG work that's being
Yes,
done? Okay,
on
Well,
Buckingham.
I can reach out to the project manager on that one and we can figure that out.
Yeah, just want to make
no
sure
problem.
they're within the boundaries
Yep.
of our ordinance, but our ordinance, they can start at 7 a.m., just for your information. Also, the exit behind Walgreens off of Route 130, correct? And you're saying there's potholes or the road? Okay. But it's that exit behind Walgreens, near the pub, by the natural corner. Yeah. So that is county, okay. Right. Okay, so that particular road is a county road. I will reach out to the county to follow up on what can be done, expeditiously around that. So that is a county road, but we will reach out to them and follow. Right, okay, yes, coming into one, okay. So the Walgreens one that goes into Charleston, okay. All right, thank you for that. I appreciate that information.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah,
you may also, when you reach out to the county, they may allow you to do a tort claim, because I know on our roads, if something happens, you can come in and file a tort claim with us. So that may be an option for you to inquire about with the county. Oh. Okay.
all right, thank you, Mr. McNair. And then, yeah, noise pollution, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Is 11 for construction, till 6, I'm sorry, 6 for construction, 6 p.m. I know the party's 10.
Party's good.
All right, did I miss anything? Okay. All right, moving on to council comments. Anyone have council comment?
Yes, I just want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to give congratulations to Officer Tanner and another great job by the rec department on the Juneteenth event. Thank you.
Any other? Dr. Worthy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to wish congratulations in advance to all of our graduates. This is graduation season and moving up celebration seasons that are going on. So congratulations to all of our graduates. Willingboro High School's graduation is coming up soon. The students in Willingboro who go to BCIT, their graduation, I believe, was earlier today. So it's just a great time to celebrate. I also would like to encourage residents to use the Willingboro Connect app. If you haven't downloaded it, consider downloading it. I have an inner nerd that I feed, and I use the app when I'm just out and about running errands or shopping, and I'll see like a street sign that needs to be replaced and just snap the picture, upload it. It's real easy. I saw like a carcass on the side of the road. I wasn't driving and taking pictures. Somebody else was driving. I was taking the pictures, but I found it just really easy to use. It's really just take a snap of the picture. It marks the location. And so we appreciate when residents use the app. It helps us all play a small part and gives us eyes and ears all over our community as we're continuing to move forward with Willingboro. And congratulations to the rec department for a phenomenal job with Juneteenth. I wanted to echo those sentiments. It was very collaborative, inclusive. So many people came out. And so I was really proud of the work that Recreation did and look forward to doing more of that as we move forward. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Good. Anyone else?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just had a few notes. We are coming off of a big weekend for Willingboro. The Juneteenth, just to echo the sentiments, was an incredible celebration of freedom here in Willingboro. Thank you to all the residents that were present that made it a success, and also all of the performers and acts that came and played a huge role in making the event not only a celebration, but also educational and a showcase of the talent that lives here in Willingboro. So thank you to everyone that made that event possible. Also, a happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers in town. We appreciate you, we love you, and thank you for all that you do for our community. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I just like to say, this is record timing. Thank you to my council colleagues and our administration for the work you do in between meetings, trying to get this to be progressive administration. I appreciate the work everyone is doing and of our staff. Also, just a reminder, our next council meeting is July 5th. It's the day after July 4th, after this Independence Day, but July 5th is our next council meeting. And everyone have a great evening. Good night. Oh, we got to have executive session. We have executive session. We will not be making any decisions tonight. So, there's nothing happening. We're just going in the back doing evaluations tonight. So there's nothing happening after executive sessions. So no vote, and so you do not have to stay.
Resolution 2023-140 to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Florida. We had a body that went into us all in the night.
I need a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. Roll call, please.
Councilman Anderson,
He's no longer with us.
I mean, he just left for the day.
I need no longer with us.
Oh,
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Worthy,
yes.
Deputy Mayor Whitfield.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yeah.
I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilwoman Worthy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Whitfield. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Thank you.
Thank you,
You're-
women of Willingboro.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone.